Welcome to episode 334 of the Working Fans Podcast. Check us out over on patreon.com/workingfanspodcast. Hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you know when we go live. And today we're going to talk a bunch of stuff. We took last week off because I went to the TD Garden for 9 Inch Nails. And while I was sitting in the garden, I had one of our first wrestling shows together.
Yeah, that would have been a WWE TLC. I believe you're speaking of the one where we met a gentleman called Grasshopper on the way home on Subway, if that's the event you're thinking of.
Yeah, that's the one where we sat at like the very top of the garden, right?
Yeah, we might even did we have a suite? Were we like in a box?
I don't know if we were necessarily in a box because it seemed like a big area you could walk around up top. It might have been a suite that had like a little area.
That's funny because our mutual friend, maybe I met you once or twice prior. That is very early on. We're talking.
Yeah, because I remember we were discussing fandom because I was like just getting into it. And I can't remember if you were coming off of a short break on it, but like December. You were talking about how you had been a fan way back and you had gone to some shows up here with AJ.
December 2015, it was TLC. What I remember mostly was the New Day taking on Lucha House Party. Thank you. I was going to say Lucha Express. I couldn't remember, but yes, the Lucha House Party. And there was that frigging like cutter into like the sit down power bomb thing where they like the sliced bread, off the ladder, and it was just insane. And that's what I always remember because it was the first time I ever saw that move. Yeah,
and that was the height of, I think, New Day. Or maybe they were just taking off, but like they were like, it was when they were just starting to get that fan favorite thing going. Coming off the booze.
Yeah, but they were getting so popular. But that was a good time. I liked the TD Garden, the old Boston Garden. I think I got to go to one, maybe not. I don't know, WrestleMania 14. If it was TD or Boston, that's where I was at. Great experience.
I'm trying to think if it was Boston Garden or Fleet Center at that point.
Oh, I think it was Fleet Center, actually, Joe. Yeah, 98. Yeah. So.
Yeah, because I remember it was like the Garden for forever. And then it did some time as the Fleet Center. And I feel like it might have been that around that time.
I didn't necessarily have the greatest experience, but I do like the fact that I've been to MSG. I did get to go to Madison Square Garden once. So that is definitely like a checklist, like, hey, I got to do that in my life.
What event did you get to go there for?
SummerSlam 98. It was also 98, big year.
Oh, that wasn't the greatest experience because you guys went there in the school bus, right?
Yeah, the school bus, yeah. The guy who's a big wrestling fan around here, who their family has like a funeral parlor. He rented a bunch of school buses. I don't know if he was friends with people in school or what, but he got a bunch of kids and everybody to go, which is really cool. But obviously, it was kind of a tough ride when some of those people are like grown adults and we're fitting like 3-4 people to a seat, But hey, I'm sure it was super expensive, so it was great of him to pull that off. But obviously, I remember. And then the bus driver, I remember falling asleep on our bus on the way home.
Oh wow!
While driving.
That's got to be nice. I've been to Madison Square Garden a couple times. It feels so good getting in there because like the history of the place. There was the one time I got to go there for Jericho's not retirement, but 25th anniversary show. And that was pretty cool. And then obviously going there for the G1 in America, the G1 special, where Matt Taven won the ROH title.
I got a question for you. This is kind of a little bit different, but I'm just curious. When you watch wrestling on TV, do you have like a favorite crowd? Like, do you ever notice crowds? Like, I notice crowds sometimes where you're like, oh, this is going to be a fun show because these guys are crazy.
Oh, not so much. I mean, we noticed it. Was it France or Puerto Rico?
Puerto Rico.
Like in the last couple of years that we really mentioned it.
The one with the Bad Bunny. The crowd was super. Yeah, I like that show. The international crowds are great, but I guess I meant stateside. Like, I know Chicago, like Elimination Chamber is going to be in Chicago.
I think we've talked about this on an early episode where Chicago crowds are great.
Yeah. Canadian crowds are usually great too.
Obviously the foreign crowds because they don't get wrestling as much, so it's like when you get it in front of them. One thing I really liked, speaking of talking about crowds, and we're going all over the place around this idea, but I was watching AAA the other weekend, and I was liking how the AAA crowds still look like a traditional crowd. You have a bunch of kids, you got old people sitting with the kids. It's great. I was actually talking to a guy that works at Labella in Montville, and I hadn't seen him for a while. And whenever I see him, we talk wrestling. And that was one thing I asked him. I'm like, so you still like, you keeping up with things? He's like, yeah, I keep up with things. And then I brought up AAA and he popped. He goes, oh man, I watch that every week. He's like, I love watching it. He's like, it's a nice short watch. It's always a good show. And I was thinking that was kind of, it's all those little elements that add to it. Like whatever arena they hold it in down there, the makeup of the crowd also helps as well.
It's great on YouTube because sometimes there's a lot going on a Saturday night, I may forget about it, but I wake up and it's in my feed on YouTube the next morning. I'm like, oh, perfect. I'll go check that out. So even if I'm doing stuff for the podcast, like I know, like, oh, there's Triple A.
Yeah, I had missed the last couple weeks. So last week when I was doing something, I put it on and I caught up on a couple episodes. Yeah. It's great to see that Americano feud working its way out down there. It's cool to see the mix of like the War Raiders with their tag teams down there and how they fit in.
It's cool to see some people I haven't seen in a while. Like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, they had TJP was on there. He won like a 4-way elimination for like a shot at a cruiserweight title. And then I'm seeing Jack Cartwheel more and more. And then, you got like still the newest version of the Parker. And so it's like all this nice.
Apollo Crews, if I'm not mistaken, too.
Apollo Crews down there. Yeah. So it's like you have this blend of WWE talent with also this, guys who are strong on the independents. On top of that, you have your traditional, Mexican talent as well. So it's kind of a nice blend. And like you said, you're getting it anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes, it seems like.
Yeah, and like I was really skeptical of the Undertaker booking down there at first, but like so far it seemed enjoyable and it's keeping enough of its own identity where it doesn't feel like it's getting Americanized too hard. I mean, I know it is. It's obvious, but like it still keeps some of its own identity, which I enjoy. Looping back around to venues, what are some of your other venues that you like going to? Like, I really like that auditorium in Lowell, the Memorial.
Good call.
Just the way it's like a nice round one. Classic Raws have been there. Just the look of it stands out.
Can't say that there's anything I've really enjoyed that I've personally been to. Like, I've enjoyed some shows. I enjoyed the fact I got to go to Boston and New York to see shows. But other than that, we don't have anything here that sticks out to me. The Lowell Memorial Auditorium that you talked about.
Shut your fucking mouth, man. You know the fucking Ledyard Middle School, OWR stomping grounds. They let us behind the scenes.
I do have a blast going to that, but that's not so much the venue. God bless. But like, I'll bring it back to this watching stuff, right? What I enjoy, venues that have stuck out to me over the last years, and I think you're going to get this right away, are two of them. And it's actually AEW. I'll give them the credit for this. The Arthur Ashe Stadium, when they were doing the Grand Slam shows. I love to look at that. And
that pops on TV.
Daly's Place. When they're at Daly's Place, I always like to look at that.
Yeah, that really does stand out, too. I really like Daly's Place in the beginning. Yeah. Like, that's why I didn't have a problem with a lot of the pandemic wrestling, because I'm like, if we do all these shows at Daly's Place, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I had a chance to go to Arthur Ashe Stadium. I'm kind of not upset, but like it would have been cool to do that just to see it.
One thing I liked when I was younger was, and this is not so much maybe about the venue, but you talk about just the look of places, was when WCW used to do the Clash of Champions and you used to first see that ramp, that long ramp, and then the wrestlers would incorporate that ramp and stuff. That popped to me as a kid.
Yeah, especially when they throw people off the ramp.
It's great shit.
I'm trying to think what else. Venue wise, an outdoor stadium always pops.
Yeah,
but, it's a small return because the Road Wilds, that's cool because it looks different, but it can't be fun to do. Same thing with the ring they set up at the beach. Beyond Wrestling does that good the few times they've done that. Last weekend as well, I was able to catch a little TNA No Surrender. They had 3 big guests that I want to mention. They'll always shout out Westside Gunn. Westside Gunn has also, I've seen news bits where there's talks that he wants to buy TNA. I don't know if it's going to merge with his Fourth Rope Promotions. But the other 2 guests they had at TNA No Surrender really surprised me because so little talk came out about this.
Right.
And I'm not as familiar with Teddy Swims, but I know he's a name that people know. And then fucking Jelly Roll.
Yes.
How do you have Jelly Roll at your event? And he looks like a dude just in a corner that you set up for him. Carlos Silva, what the fuck is going on?
I don't know, man.
Like, TNA does these things where they take these steps forward and then they still do that TNA WCW thing of what the fuck's going on. So what did you think when you saw all these names at TNA No Surrender?
I didn't know about Westside Gunn. I did watch the show on the delay, and I had missed. I remember hearing about Teddy, because I wasn't too familiar with him either. But I saw Jelly Roll, and I was like, what the fuck? Is that Jelly Roll? I did the same thing. I'm like, how are we like casually going by? Because I'm thinking like, damn, Jelly Roll, first off, he's a legit fan of pro wrestling. Like, he's just not doing the WWE thing. Like, he's showing up at TNA events like, you're a fucking fan. And then I thought to myself, man, they should have made a bigger deal out of this.
That was the same thing I thought as well. It's like they show him, they mention it, and then they move on. Where anybody else, WWE would have showed him a couple times.
Oh, for sure.
I'm not even saying you got to get him involved in things, but it's like, just feature him a little more and mention it. Like, it seemed like a big misstep, and I just thought it was crazy. But then TNA has me back this week. Thursday, they did the Guitar Case casket match, which I haven't watched yet. I'm excited to watch it today when I get home from my gathering. And yeah, it's TNA does good, and then they do these weird things.
Yeah, and the ratings are up right now, by the way. Those initial ratings they had were like, I think they're 100. They've changed the Nielsen system now, and it's actually worked out for wrestling, where shows like AEW Collision and Dynamite and TNA were suffering. They've now jumped up a bit now in the ratings wise, and I think they got their highest not this past Thursday because those aren't out yet, but the week before, and I think they're like in the 270s. And like, I'm just looking at like this TNA card, you know, I reminded myself like Jody Threat won the Knockouts Battle Royal, and so like she's a number one contender. Danny Luna, I guess, who had visa issues, is back. You know, they were a tag team. Now they're both competing for a possible title shot. And
Leon Slater returned. I was really pumped about that.
That's great. And he got the win in the main event. He pinned Nick Nemeth because it was a tag match where they took out Mike Santana. And I was thinking about this when I was watching TNA the other night. I'm like, you know what? You have a couple great champions, unique champions in Mike Santana and Leon Slater that is very unique to your own brand. And even Steve Macklin. And you can kind of make this argument. They're kind of like the island of the misfit toys, but it's not a bad thing. They have like a brand identity that's not necessarily WWE, even though they have the relationship, and AEW. And I like it. I'm glad that, you know, it's starting to feel like there's this third option out there now.
Yeah, it really feels good. Like, it's kind of good to be a TNA fan now, especially if you've put up with those bad years where you're a fan of them when they did all this weird shifting, when it seemed like they were hugging AEW too hard a few years ago. Yeah. I enjoyed that,
me too.
But it is nice that they're able to stand on their own now, even with the NXT thing. I'm not going to fault them for that because they've gotten a lot bigger on that. But, like, look how they're featuring Santana. Look how Leon Slater is in such a big place.
And even the only one who has an NXT title or has a TNA title from NXT right now is Ariana, you know, Grace there. But like, it kind of makes sense in the storyline with her, you know, dad, she's manipulated and everything like that. And I find it interesting, actually, that, you know, because I think she's a vulnerable champion and you can see somebody, you know, beating her. But at the same time, there's this storyline of like she has interference and manipulation work. So it's like, okay, who's going to be the one who knock her off then? You know, and it's kind of added a little life to that division.
Yeah, she feels like a safe person to have like another company's championship on. Plus, you've got that group that's coming together with her, Finley's son, Stacks, and trying to get Dempsey in there, Lexis King. Yeah. So that's interesting across a couple different shows.
There is rumors that Finley's other son, Dave Finley from New Japan, I guess, is out of New Japan now. So maybe he's going to join that group as well.
Yeah, actually, that New Japan pay-per-view is coming up next weekend, next Friday. I'm excited for that because Alec Price and Jordan Oliver are on it as well. It's one of those weird ones where it's a $19.99 purchase on New Japan World. And even though it's an American pay-per-view, I'm thinking about checking it out.
People are leaving New Japan, though. Hiromu, David Finley, Evil, like a lot of these guys, whether you like them or don't like them, but names who've been there for quite a while are all leaving around the same time. Hopefully, you know, that'll be okay. And maybe that'll be a thing that New Japan will rebuild and we'll see more new talent develop.
Yeah, hopefully. I know Evil was getting stale over there, but it's kind of like, what can he do elsewhere? Will he show up in WWE? Will he show up in AEW? A lot of Hiromu was the wild one leaving. You know, we're going to go from one event that was last weekend to this was going to be a preview. But now we're talking the review. AEW Grand Slam Australia. I made it a point to, I sat down and watched this mostly live. And
Yeah.
I got to say, definitely better than last year's Grand Slam Australia. It seemed like last year they were building it up and it kind of ended up being a disappointment.
Yeah.
This one felt like a full-on pay-per-view. The card was stacked. I thought it was an enjoyable watch.
Great watch, great card. I will say, I'll just nitpick just a small thing. It's just my personal preference. Hangman Page beat Andrade. No problem. Cool. They had a great match. And Brody King obviously lost to MJF. And I was kind of expecting that to happen. But man, the last couple of weeks where Andrade beat Swerve, where Andrade beat Omega, I was thinking, man, I'd really love to see AEW mix it up on the top of the card. Like, it feels like we're Hangman, MJF, Samoa Joe, Swerve, Omega, we always had these same people. And it was like, it would have been really cool, I think, to see Andrade and Brody King suddenly, and maybe you could make it a 4-way or a 3-way, but I was really hoping to see those guys go to that next level personally. But overall, on a whole, this show was great.
Yeah, at least they're expanding the bigger picture now. You've got Andrade in consideration. You've got Brody in consideration. Yeah. They're definitely that next step down. Yeah. But yeah, like when I saw it was going to be Hangman MJF at the pay-per-view, I'm like, not that it's going to be a bad match, but I feel like we've seen it. And it is two of their bigger stars, so it makes sense. But
we're talking about AEW Grand Slam, but just so people know we're not picking on them, WWE has a similar situation now with Cody and Drew McIntyre. Like, great wrestlers, great acts, but I feel like I've been here. Like, I want to see somebody else win, and we'll get to Elimination Chamber, but that match, because I don't want to see the same matches over again. I want to see some new stuff now,
Yeah, especially with you've got so many newer stars coming up, and obviously, when we get talking about Elimination Chamber, that'll come out more. But do you happen to have this card pulled up?
Moxley and Takeshita was the opening. That was a great match. That was a hell of an
opener, yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. And I know we're going to now, that leads into Wrestle Revolution, and that's going to be a no time limit match, which is kind of a throwback. I like that. Like, we haven't had a no time limit match as long as I can remember.
How long do you think a no time limit match is going to go?
I'll have to see that card.
20 minutes? Like,
yeah, maybe an hour. That'd
be wild.
That would be wild. Moxley likes to do different things and test himself, and AEW is going to give him the creative platform to do that. So
yeah, it's just when I hear no time limit match, it's weird because it's like, how long you really think you feel like going?
Right. Babes of Wrath. So Harley Quinn and Will Nightingale defended their titles against Bane and Penelope Ford. I don't have it listed here, but I believe there was interference after the match. We have a new person that helped Bane that might be part of that group.
Yeah, that was that independent wrestler out of Australia. I can't remember her name, but she's giant. And it was kind of interesting. You're putting somebody so big with like one of your biggest women in AEW, because it was the same thing when Megan Bayne went up against Bozilla. It was like, oh shit, there's finally somebody that's her height. If they're a tag team with Penelope on the outside, I wouldn't mind that.
Not at all. And Penelope might be better for singles matches, maybe going after the TBS champion with Willow. You could maybe mix it up and put Penelope.
Get like a little faction going there.
Yeah, Hangman Page, we said, beat Andrade. That was a great match. Orange Cassidy and Toni Storm defeated Yuta and Marina Shafir.
The head shaving match. That was a spectacle.
Yeah, I was no surprise. I did expect Yuta to be the one to get his haircut here, and he didn't disappoint. Interesting to note, Yuta tried to...
Oh, wow. See, I thought it was going to be him. I saw the hair, like, because his hair has been shaggy for a while, and it was almost like...
I thought he would be the one to...
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. But I was going to say what's interesting was that John Moxley, when Yuta ran away, Moxley made him go back and deliver on his promise. And I wonder if that's telling a story down the road where we're going to see Moxley eventually maybe take the babyface role when the Death Riders turn on Moxley.
It is weird how they've almost become babyfaces in a way, like the last few weeks.
No surprise, but a hell of a match. Kyle Fletcher defeated Mark Briscoe in a ladder match for the TNT Championship. These guys got awesome chemistry.
That might have been my match of the night. That thing really stood out.
Yeah, I would agree. And in the main event, MJF defeated Brody King. We talked about that. Good showing for King. Good to see him part of the main event. Personally, I'd like to see him maybe get the championship. We don't have this in our notes to talk about this week, but I'll just throw it out there too. But after that, MJF cut a promo in the locker room about he's going to be defending that AEW championship on a card this weekend at House of Glory against Zilla Fatu. And I just love the fact that almost like the old NWA days, the AEW champion is going to a different promotion, a different territory to defend his title.
I can't remember if that was last night or tonight. I definitely want to watch it on Triller, though.
Yeah, you got me wondering now.
Yeah, because I know sometimes House of Glory's on Friday. It could be a Saturday. I knew I wasn't going to have a moment to stop and watch it till tonight anyways. Speaking of independent promotions, Limitless has an event that's going to be on IWTV and their YouTube channel tonight. Is it tonight?
Oh, it was last night. Yeah,
it was last night. I'm going to watch that when I get home then.
Yeah, there is something that says House of Glory, no turning back results. And I just didn't click on it. So I was like, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Check it out later, maybe.
But yeah, that'll be something to see later. That was interesting. I threw this next subject on the list just because Elimination Chamber's coming up. And yes. It's the next big pay-per-view, and I'm not the biggest fan of it. I'll watch it, but of like the concepts in WWE, I think it's the one I feel least attached to.
It's interesting you say that, and I agree with you, but you know what's funny is last year we had the biggest, I'm just pulling up the potential card right now, but it's interesting that because last year we had the biggest wrestling angle of all year actually take place. That's when John Cena turned heel last year, and that's when initially The Rock and Travis Scott and everything came out. Nothing ever really came out of that because we never saw The Rock or Travis Scott again, but that initial shock, we were all buzzing from elimination.
Yeah, that was a nice moment there.
Yeah, but for the most part, I would say the match itself, yeah, I mean, I'm not really crazy about him. I will say that I did hear a theory that Sean Ross Sapp said that he thinks that Finn Balor is going to actually defeat CM Punk for the world title on the show because they've booked that match. And they keep saying, oh, you're jeopardizing the main event, and nobody actually thinks Balor's going to win. And he says he believes that Balor will win, but then Punk will get the title back before Mania. They'll do something like that. But because no one's expected it, and it's in Chicago, he thinks, and I thought that would be really interesting if we're walking out of it and like Finn Balor's the world champion, and we got, again, it's probably going to be Cody Rhodes that wins the Elimination Chamber or something, but you could imagine if a guy like Trick Williams won, I'd be like, whoa, we're buzzing here. Let's get this thing going.
Big. I mean, I didn't watch this week, but I was surprised to see that Javon Evans won a chance in there because that was another spark of the idea where that has me a little more excited for an event that I normally would care less about. But like Javon jumping off those pods, just Javon being more in the mix, being featured with so many other superstars is going to be huge.
I agree. And personally, again, much like I said with Brody King and Andrade and AEW, I mean, I get it. He's not an established name, but wouldn't it be cool if Javon Evans won the Elimination Chamber and then he goes to WrestleMania? You don't have to make it one-on-one. Do an angle where you got your established Cody Rhodes on there, but you got new blood in there and you're having to mix it up on a main event. It's like, wow, you've almost instantly made a star at that point.
Yeah, it's helping make another name and like giving them more credibility to where people are going to see them and like they're going to be looking forward to the Javon Evans match at WrestleMania now. Right. If they're just the average viewer. It's interesting to hear that the WWE is, I don't know if you've heard the news, they talked about it in Vegas and now apparently it's happening in Chicago, that they're shutting down the ability to have these watch parties at places. Yeah. And it's kind of wild that they're doing that. I mean, it makes sense money-wise because you want to drive more people to get tickets, but it's like, to me, it almost seems antithetical. Like, I feel like you're going to lose people or you're going to lose that excitement around the event because the hype of an event isn't always just in the building. Sometimes it's, it's when you're going to your buddy's house to watch like a WrestleMania or a Royal Rumble. Yeah. And they've replicated that in some bars and areas and they're taking that away. And it just seems like your fan base is going to take a hit, even though I'm sure corporately they don't worry about that in the least.
They will. They will eventually. I believe that. My opinion, judging by what I've watched on wrestling over the years of what I'm seeing now is in particular WWE and TKO, they're jacking up these prices because they want it to be like a boxing / UFC Vegas crowd type ticket. You're not going to get that with wrestling long term. You may for a little while it's hot and you may try to do things like, take away these watch parties, but wrestling is a mom and pop family operation and you're going to lose that for a while. So you're going to have to lower your tickets and then get them back. And eventually they'll get them back because that's just how it works. Wrestling fans are very forgiving, but that's what's going to happen. So we're going to have to go through this cycle. I would say I would bet until at least next year, maybe longer, but I'd say they're going to be good for at least this year, you know?
And then that's when the tide's going to roll back on them and public opinion will kind of force them to lower prices. I hope to see it.
Yeah, I agree. I hope to see it too. Yeah, I mean, hopefully TV ratings and everything else will stay strong, and it'll get a message and they'll go, oh, but attendance is down. We need to do something about that. Yes, you do. Lower the tickets.
That it is. And Dave, I'm going to do my best Tony Schiavone right now because I know the episode is called Favorite Commentators, but we are desperately running out of time. So I'm going to play a quick commercial from the Pro Wrestling Vault Volume 2. And if you're on Patreon, you'll get to hear Dave and I discuss our favorite commentators.
Read about the Northern Wrestling Federation in the book presented by Russellville.com, The Pro Wrestling Vault, Volume 2. Hear the story of Roger Ruffin, the man who trained Carl Anderson, the Monster Abyss, Jordan Clearwater, Chris Harris, and Jillian Hall.
Plus 45 other short stories including Jazz, Bobby Eaton, Kamala, Thunder Rosa, Mario Mancini, Scott Casey, PJ Black, Kerry Morton, Sal Renaro, Jeremiah Plunkett, Colby Carino, Bam Bam Malone, and many others.
Get your book today at Russellville.com. Russellville. It's where wrestling lives.